I
Let's
don't
just
do
go
no
live.
countdowns. I don't do countdowns. What's
I
up,
don't.
Aaron?
I
We
don't do
are
countdown.
live. Welcome everybody to the Daily HiFi podcast, live every Monday. And yeah, we're missing Chana. He's at where's he at? I don't know. He says
He
that
said he's
he's
at the
at some
pool.
pool right now. He's
Yeah.
at a pool. So let's see if he calls in or chimes in sometime. What's up, Aaron?
Not much, man. How you doing?
You know,
Couldn't
doing
I
well.
couldn't leave you hanging today. I had to join you, man.
Oh,
So
thank you. Oh, well, I mean, I always appreciate that. But I think the viewers should appreciate it more because then you'd have to hear me the whole time. And I have no problem talking for 2 hours straight. That's easy.
yeah, I don't know if I could do that. It's weird. Like I've done live streams, we're all just as long as people are interacting and asking questions, it's not hard to do. But after a while, you just kind of feel like, well, what else do I talk about? Right? Like I don't even know what else to say anymore.
I don't know. Maybe my
So
brain just works in a way. I'll just keep going on an endless stream
I
of
don't.
tangents. I'll just keep
I,
going.
my problem is that like I think when I know that I'm on the spot, my brain is thinking so far ahead of the next thing I'm going to say to keep me from like stumbling over myself. I wind up stumbling over myself, right? Like that's just
I think I understand what you're saying.
yeah. But it's weird. It's like when I'm at work, if I'm giving a presentation, which I haven't had to do in a little while, but if I'm giving like a big presentation, that doesn't really happen to me because after like a minute or two, my brain settles down, like the stress and the anxiety kind of goes away, and I just hit a groove.
Hmm.
But when I'm live streaming, I'm always worried, like because I've had it happen where the mic goes out or the video camera goes down or something. So I'm like freaking paranoid that something's going to go down when I'm doing
Hmm.
that. I don't know, man. It shouldn't be a thing that makes you anxious, but I
I'm
guess if
kind of
you
the
have
opposite.
anxiety,
When I just go live, I just talk like I normally talk. Because I
yeah,
figure, hey, you're gonna be hanging out, so I don't have to be all perfect, pretend to be all perfect, like in a 10-minute, 5-minute, whatever, however long video.
right.
You have to be concise, like take out all the garbage stuff. So yeah,
You ain't
in
wrong.
the last rant video that Keeping Up with the Joneses wanted me to mention quickly, I'll just touch on it. But somebody mentioned in the comments like that I said right a bunch of times. I'm like, dang, I did say right a bunch of times. Can't even be mad about that. I didn't
Yeah,
even know I did that. And I think
I
it was,
um
yeah,
I've
I was
become
trying to,
more aware, like since I started creating videos,
uh-huh.
aware of how often I will say, and I'm not going to say it here because then people are going to be listening to it, but I've become a
Okay,
lot more
okay.
aware of how often I say certain things or filler things, and
Mm-hmm.
I just edit them out most of the time,
I have this new
chop it
app
out.
that I showed you, and there's some
Yeah.
stuff I didn't even show you yet. There's one where it
Oh,
takes out filler words,
what?
and it it took out like 4 minutes from this one video that I did.
That's awesome.
Like that's a lot of, and then it also takes out blank spaces like
That's
right
cool.
now.
I do that. I wind up going through that, and it's like honestly, I don't think that the people watching really care that much about a couple blank seconds. Just me kind of sitting there waiting to get into the next idea or observation or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but I watch. I don't know if you know who Rick Beato is. He's a great musician, and it's a great
Hmm.
channel
Hmm.
for that. Millions and millions of subscribers. I was watching him about a year and a half ago, and I realized he has a lot of chop edits going on. And I thought to myself, his editor is
Hmm.
chopping out all the little ums and the pauses and things like that. And I think, well, okay, it's not as noticeable, if you can kind of time it just right. So
Dude,
anyway,
hey,
what is oh
why you got a
TD
sweater
on
on, bro?
holiday,
It's hot outside.
Sweater. I come equipped with the sweater.
dude? It's
Called chest hair.
hot outside because he's there.
What's up, bro? What are you doing?
So Sasha's like, I should have. You were supposed to put a shirt on. All right, all right, all right.
Ah. He doesn't care.
Dude, who
Look at that.
cares?
That looks like a nice little spot.
Oh yeah, we got a cabana over here at the Vadara
Oh, I
Hotel.
love Vidara.
I don't even know what y'all are talking about.
Oh,
In
here's
Vegas,
the funniest
Vidara has
part.
the
We
best
brought
beds.
so many drinks. If you open up the fridge, we haven't drank any of them. Like 12 bottles of champagne, like 7 Trulies, all kinds of stuff, and we haven't even used any of it.
Wow. So what are y'all there for? I didn't ask you. Is it vacation?
Yeah, this is the one vacation I take a year with Sasha.
Okay.
So Ryder's at home with the dogs,
Nice.
and We went to a music festival, 3-day music festival. And Friday night, my new song was played. My buddy was DJing, and he played my new song, and the people went crazy for it.
Where at? Where did he play it at?
What's that?
Where did he play it?
At the show on Friday night.
What show did you mention?
EDC, the Electric Daisy Carnival.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. I think I saw you up on stage too.
Yeah, I was up on the stage back there with him, and I was in the crowd. Oh, it was so cool to hear my song on like this big ass sound system, and it was just the bass was just boom, boom, like going through my body. It was fantastic.
That's awesome, man. Congrats.
Hey, your dream is coming true, right?
What's that?
Your dream is coming true.
Yeah, dream is coming true.
That's what we do.
We actually went into like a bunch of backstage areas on Sunday, into the artist area where my buddy who was DJing, he took us up there. Oh man, I even got to meet like some crazy big DJs that own like record labels and stuff like that, and talk to them for a minute. It was wild.
All right.
Busy weekend.
Well, let me know. I know you're supposed to give me a call to catch up, but I was doing family stuff at the time when you called.
Oh yeah.
I know you wanted to give me all kinds of updates.
Yeah, I
But,
know.
I gotta do.
I was at the show. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to tell Joe this. I'm like, why the fuck am I thinking about Joe right now?
That's cute.
Because we visualized this. Remember?
Yeah,
we said, hey,
yeah.
You said you wanted to be on stage.
Yeah.
I said, well, let's make that happen. Just let's figure it
And
out. Figure out how to do it.
Funny.
So that's it. That's why.
Yeah, that's what we did.
It's not a surprise.
Dreams can become your reality. You just have to like work at it, right?
This is gonna be a motivational speech now, huh?
I mean, this is what I'm telling the kids at home that are watching. Right? Hopefully, kids aren't watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah, both of you. Yeah, Aaron, what's up, buddy?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. You?
I'm good, dude. I'm good.
Hey, for everybody watching, I can't see the chat or anything. So everybody that's watching, hey, what's up? I was talking to Joe the other day, and I was like, he's like, oh, you're going to Audio Advice Live? I was like, yeah, in August. And he asked me why, and I was like, honestly, I just want to hang out with Aaron. So he's like, oh shit, that sounds like fun.
My best friend.
Makes sense.
Yeah, he's my best friend.
Look, I called Aaron. He's like, we should take the same flights and book the same seats. So one of us has to sit on each other's laps and just make everybody uncomfortable.
I did say that. I did say that.
I was like, that's Aaron. Let's go.
Then he was like, well, I gotta go. Talk to you later.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, have a good time over there. I want you to just enjoy yourself, relax, do your thing.
Treat yourself.
Yeah, don't worry about us. We got this. We got
Love
this.
you guys.
Love you too, bro.
Watching.
Love you too, bro.
Have a good one, man.
Later.
See you, man.
Peace.
See ya. What were we saying?
Dude, he wouldn't put a shirt on for no reason.
You should have just kept it as is.
I know, man. Flex on the folks here watching.
You look like a chest hair type of dude. I don't have chest hair. You got see, I knew it.
Dude, so I trim mine down because I don't know. I don't shave it. I never shave it. But I use beard trimmers and I trim it because it gets pretty unruly, man.
Oh no, we're not gonna start on the Manscaped. I'm talking.
Hey, no, we're not talking about that. I'm just talking about it gets unruly and I just trim it down. That's all I'm saying. To each his own. I don't shave my legs or anything like that. I've got friends that do.
Before we started talking about, before Chana chimed in, you're talking about Rick Beato?
Rick Beato.
Beato?
It looks like Beato. It's Beato. Yeah. Oh, and I was just saying that he does a lot of chop edits. So I thought, well, if he can do it and he's got millions of subscribers, then I can do it too. So sometimes I'll, really edit my videos to the point where I'm like dropping all the spaces and all the filler words. And then other times I don't really bother. And you and I were talking backstage before this happened that I think when I have speakers that I'm just like, about, I'm not going to not do a review, but I'm not going to put a lot of effort into them. I'll talk about them. I'll put a picture up or something like that. But I just don't want to spend a whole lot of time editing a video to make it polished if I don't really care for the speaker to begin with. And then I really I noticed that on the Q Acoustics video that I released today, I noticed I didn't talk anything about soundstage or imaging or talk about the horizontal radiation.
You couldn't even get past it, huh?
That I don't recall even talking about any of that because the speaker was just so bad to me already that what's the point, right? Like I don't care,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, so you mentioned backstage. You're like, well, I'm gonna review stuff. I don't just pass it by if it sucks, like other reviewers. I'm like, hey, I feel like you're talking about me, and it's true. I mean, and it's just because we have different styles. So
right,
we just did a collab video on that Cali Audio UNINF, and it's just I said, hey, I'm gonna do some B-roll, and then I'll send it to you, and you're like, whatever. I'm gonna just you already put it out.
Yeah, I'm too antsy, man. I've got so much. I just want to get it out there.
So I haven't even put mine out yet. We were both done about the same time.
Yeah.
But my video's not out yet. I haven't even started editing it.
Yeah.
And it's just because I usually do some B-roll. It's just part of my routine.
Right.
But it takes time.
It does.
And that also takes time to edit. And so if I had a bad speaker and I know it's bad, I don't even want to recommend it. I don't think anybody should get it. And then I'm like, do I want to go and do some B-roll? Or should I just, maybe the thing is, if the speaker sucks, no B-roll. It's just going to be me talking about it, tell you what I like, what I don't like. That's it.
I mean,
maybe it's equal to their effort.
There you go. And you can just be honest in the video and just say, look, I normally do B-roll to try to show you guys all the features, but I just don't like the speaker. I'm not feeling it. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on this when I could be spending it towards stuff that is better.
I think that's fair. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll say what I need to say, but the effort is going to match their effort.
Well, I did a video about a year ago, and it was titled something to the effect of "Why don't reviewers do negative reviews?" And it was kind of a pickup on some of the conversation at the time, and it wasn't judging anybody for doing it. I get the main points, and one of them is why spend the time, right? But I'm of the mindset where I don't do a whole lot extra, so I'm already doing the data part. I might as well do a quick video. And even if I think my suggestion back then was 2 reviewers who said that it's a time thing was just, hey, build a few up and then maybe take 5 or 10 minutes, sit down in front of the camera and say, I had these speakers and list them out and say, I just didn't care for them. And that's why you didn't see a full review for them. And I think that would actually go a long way toward getting viewers to trust even more their review, because I've seen people like with my review style, if I don't like it, people know, and I go ahead and review it anyway. And I've seen from commenters, and I'm not trying to get a big head, but I'm just telling you what other people say. So other people will say, oh, we appreciate your honesty or things like that. And I'm like, other reviewers would, they just don't want to waste the time. And I think if other reviewers understood how much it means to people to see a reviewer not or do a negative review, so to speak, they would take the time. They would take the 5 to 10 minutes to do it. You don't have to really put any effort in. Ironically, you and I were talking about this last week. I did a video last week where I just pulled up the camera, pulled up a screen, started talking about Genelex's new speaker. It didn't take much effort, and it was my number 2 most watched video in a week's time. And I'm just thinking, man, all the time that I spend testing and doing all this stuff to make sure I'm doing things the best way I can, and I go and make a video like that, or my divorce video, which was the number 1 video so far. The most minimal effort videos are the best videos, right? So I say right just then, by the way. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. I wish, it almost makes me jealous of other reviewers who I see, and I'm not knocking them. I really am not. And not even just reviewers. I'm not even talking about, and it's not even just reviewers. It's people who create content that will just sit in front of a camera, blabber for like 10 or 15 or 20 minutes, turn the camera off. They probably don't even listen to the speaker. Right, Joe? And
I don't even know if they do.
And then they just go on. And I'm jealous. I'm being honest. I'm jealous of, how do I put this? I'm trying not to get in a sticky situation. I have very high moral integrity when I'm reviewing a video, and I want to make sure that people know everything that I think about it, and they've got all the data to make their own decision. Sometimes I wish that I didn't, and it sounds like I'm getting on my chair here, but that's fine. Cool, I am. It would be so much easier for me, and I could have so many more subs and so many more viewers if I would just do some kind of clickbait video title or something lame and be like, I heard this and it sounded blah, 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 and just make up some shit, pardon my French, and then just go on to the next thing.
Getting real in
Right?
there, baby.
I'm just being like, I'm being
What's
honest,
up?
you know,
I love it.
I don't have to name names. I mean, I don't know. I know who I think kind of do that, but it's not even the point. Again, it's not even just in audio. It's in all sorts of other things. Like I watch camera gear, anything that I like car related, I'll watch stuff sometimes. And you can tell who really and truly knows what they're talking about versus the people who just sit down in front of a camera. But sometimes with YouTube, it pays to have quantity over quality, right? And my setup, my production values suck. I could do better, but honestly, I just don't put in that much effort because I'm more interested in the data, right? That's where all of my effort goes, is into the data and into the quality of the review, the material of the review, and not so much the scape, you know, the look of it. And yeah, so that's my own fault. I could play this game, I could do all that stuff, and I don't think I'd have 100,000 or whatever big number, but I would certainly have more than the 34,000 that I have now, which is small potatoes, right?
I guess I would say this.
Have more than that.
I know you wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
But I have to respect the people who do that sort of thing that I don't like, that I've ranted about, because even if I wanted to do that, I'm not sure that I would be successful at that.
Yeah.
So we're saying, oh yeah, it's easy to do that, but I haven't done it, so I can't say whether I would be successful. I could do that and get, not grow. So
well,
I don't really know.
I'm basing that on the few videos that I've done in the past where, trying to think, I think there's 3 in particular in my brain that I know for a fact that were negative, basically negative videos, and reviews just straight through the roof, man. Just straight through the roof. Minimal effort. There was no data. I didn't even review a speaker. It was about other non-speaker related things. People are drawn to negativity, man. So as long as you have something like that, or as long as you just have some kind of shtick or something, then people want to see that. They're more interested in that than they are data. And I get it. That's fine. I know what I chose to do, and I'm doing what I enjoy doing. And if it's a slow growth, that's fine. I've got a day job for my money. This isn't what I do to pay the bills, right? So I'm fully aware of what I'm doing when I do it. I just also have to be honest that yes, I am a little bit jealous of the amount of effort that I put into doing all this stuff. And then I see other people do so little, and I'm like, gosh, you know. But at the same time, if they're honest with their audience about what they're doing, zero problem. So if anybody's feeling like a little bit, oh, somebody's talking about me, if you feel like I'm talking about you, then I probably am talking about you, you know. But if you don't, then I'm probably not talking about you, and you're good. So don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
what did we say right before we got on? Is we said we're talking about don't hate the player,
hate the game.
Hate the game.
Right.
So I have admitted I'm hating on the game. So people kept asking, how come you're not saying names? Because that's the player. I'm hating on the game.
Yeah.
And so the name of the player doesn't matter so much.
Right.
And it's just that what gets promoted by YouTube is this stuff. That's what gets promoted. But also, not you specifically, but viewers in general are also at fault because they're the ones clicking on those things and watching them and spending the time. And it's a cyclical thing.
Absolutely.
So they're watching. So YouTube's saying, hey, this is what you want to watch. And that's the issue. That's the game.
Right.
That's the game that I'm hating on.
I agree.
And I wish it were more like, oh, this some information. I'm learning something. This is awesome. But I blame myself more than anything. I need to be more entertaining. That's what I've been thinking about. And so when we're talking about jump cuts, it's because there's nothing in this section of piece of video. But I was watching some awesome actors. Actually, I was watching the clip from A Few Good Men. The last scene, Can't Handle the Truth.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pauses. There's a lot of silence.
What's
happening during the silence, though?
Right.
You're understanding what this person's thinking about. It's not silence. Just because someone's not talking doesn't mean they're not saying something. And that's what I want to work on. I might look to the side, think, that might tell you I'm having a hard time telling you. That is the message. I'm having a hard time figuring out what to say about this speaker.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's
Dramatic pause, says Matt.
There's
Yeah.
not.
So I'll in that video that I made, I was hating the game, and I want to change it. So
Yeah.
there's a little fly in here. But that's what I'm trying to do. I want to change the game or figure out how to make myself better so I can play the game and not compromise on my own principles. That's the hard part.
That's the most important part. So I'll throw this back up, Croson. Most people do YouTube for entertainment, nothing more. Even if they review something, the consumer just looks for validation. And he's not wrong. I agree with that. I mean, I do the same thing. Most of the time I'll watch YouTube and it's for entertainment, you know? So that's fine. It's just, I know what I've got myself into as far as reviewing stuff. And I'm perfectly man enough to admit that in some ways I am jealous of the success that other people have when I see them do so little work. That frustrates me. But that, again, Joe said it, that's not really even their fault. And I really want to stress that I'm talking about all over, like all areas, not audio. I mean, I don't even watch the majority of audio reviewers. I don't watch them. And that has nothing to do with me being friends with theirs or not being friends with theirs. I don't have time, you know? And when I do have time to go and watch a YouTube video, I don't want to watch. It'd be like me coming home and watching a video about my work. I don't really want to do that anymore, you know? Like,
yeah.
And plus, if there's something I'm really curious about, I'm not going to take somebody else's word for it. I'm going to go look for data, or I'm going to get it myself and do a video myself. Right? I'm rarely going to take just somebody else's word for it.
Yeah, I personally don't. I try not to watch other reviewers who I don't like. There's a handful of people who I watch.
Yeah,
like a very small handful of people, and it's just like you're saying. First of all, this is what I do all the time. I'm interested in other stuff, and also because I don't want to be somebody else. My goal is not to be a popular YouTube reviewer. That may be somebody else's goal. It's not my goal. My goal is to be the best version of me. And so I see a lot of people trying to copy other reviewers' styles. And I'm like, what are you doing? You can never be this person.
Yeah.
You'll never be that person because you're not that person.
Right.
Why don't you just try to be you? Figure out your own thing.
You do you, cuz.
So that's why I don't watch other reviewers. First of all, because I get upset at some of the stuff that I hear because I don't agree. And I'm overly critical because it's normal. If you're doing the same job as someone else, you're going to be a little bit more critical of them compared to just some random person. So that's all it is. That's all it is.
I think that's fair. So,
and for the most part, I pretty much just mind my own business. I do my own thing. And I didn't feel the need to call out any particular names because, so it goes back to the reviewing stuff that I don't like. The way I feel about it, it's like buyer beware. If you're going to buy some stuff, beware. Beware. Some stuff is not going to be good. That's your fault. If you buy something that's, if a manufacturer makes all these claims that something's going to be whatever, this and that, that's their job. Their job is to try to sell product. That's what the manufacturer is supposed to do.
Just the general tone and the way that YouTube really supports certain things, right? And if there was anybody I really wanted to talk about, I would talk to him directly first. I wouldn't call him out in the video. I would not do that. It's just not my nature. But
here's the one thing I would say is in my personal life, this is all. I think the point of this is we're normal people, and in my personal life, there are things that I choose to focus on and things I don't choose to focus on, and people I choose to spend my energy with, and people I don't. And so with my friends, I try to give them the good and the bad. I try to help them get better by telling them, hey, you're screwing up over here. And that may sound like a negative thing. Nobody wants to be told that they're screwing up or doing bad. Everybody wants to be told they're doing well.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to hear the truth. If you're a true friend, I'm gonna spend my time and energy to tell somebody because I actually care. When
Right.
I don't really care about somebody, they get nothing from me. They don't get good. They don't get bad. Same as a crappy product. They get no promotion, nothing bad, nothing. That's my way of doing things.
Yeah.
They're just out of my mind. They get, no living rent free in my brain. They got to pay. So, yeah. Anyway,
Right.
that's my point. I don't focus on people and things I don't care about. I want to focus on things I do care about. I do care about certain things. So anyway, what were we saying?
We'll switch over.
Yeah,
that was my fault because I was talking about just like reviewing speakers. So this was really all born backstage because I've got a few reviews that are coming up, and man, I'm just like, the stuff is really just not good, and it bums me out because I want to do reviews for good stuff. Like I want to be excited about stuff, but when I get this stuff that's not good, I still feel, I need to go ahead and do that video and just talk about it, even if it's not a long video or if it's not detailed. But I'm looking forward to stuff that can get me excited. Right now, I've got a bunch of speakers that I'm just not excited about, and it kind of bums me out.
Yeah, so and I do respect other people's opinions. So Gianni says, Joe, you came off as jealous and resentful of other YouTubers' success. Your video was cringe. Okay, well, thank you for your opinion. That's it. Good. Yeah, I'm sure I knew going into it that some people wouldn't like what I had to say, but I said exactly what I wanted to say, and I'm good. That's it. The video was more for me because I wanted to say what I wanted to say. So if one person watched it, cool. If thousands of people watch it, that's cool too. Doesn't matter.
Yep.
So yeah. All right. Thanks, Gianni. I appreciate your opinion, but I don't agree with you.
Yeah. So what else were we talking about? Yeah, I mean, again, I want to apologize for that negative downturn. I'm generally not a negative person, but sometimes I just kind of go and stuff riles me up and I'll talk about it. And Daily Hi-Fi is where we come. I mean, we've got our own separate channels to review stuff and to keep things light and informative, but every once in a while we're going to go off on a tangent. So I'm just saying this to all the people who are going to comment like, wish you hadn't said anything, blah, blah, blah. Look, man, sometimes we just we got to talk the truth and how we feel. And I want to make it clear, I'm not talking about any other particular reviewer, and I'm talking outside the soundscape of just audio. The last thing I want is any more freaking drama, but I'm just relieving some things from my burden on my chest of how aggravated I am at crappy speakers. Okay. All right.
Oh yeah. Anyway, where are we at here? What are you guys saying in the chat? I'm not.
Where were we at?
I'm allergic to drama, so I'm not paying any attention to anybody I don't want to pay attention.
Do you want to do a sneak peek on the Behringer stuff by any chance?
Go for it.
I don't mind
real quick. Maybe we should touch on the collab video that we did recently.
Yeah,
on the Cali audio, and I think people liked it. What do you think? Was the feedback pretty positive?
Yeah, actually, I was surprised. I thought, and I can't really tell you a particular reason that I thought that we might not get a lot of positive feedback. I guess what I'm trying to say is I didn't expect it to be negative, but I just didn't really think that a lot of people would be like really excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was a 30-minute video, dude, right? Like we talked for an hour and I've gotten so many people complain about, oh, your video's too long and it's 15 minutes. Like, I'm like, oh, so I just didn't expect the kind of good vibes that we got for that video. And I thought it was cool. Editing that thing down was so tough. So I'm really going to be curious to see what you left in versus what I took out. We'll go from there. But yeah,
we'll see. Yeah, I think what people liked was just the different viewpoints,
right?
Because you came at it from one angle, and we have different sets of measurements. I actually talked to Cali Audio today, and I said, "Hey, my video's not ready yet, but if you watch that video, is there anything that I said that was just straight up incorrect? Because, correct me now."
Yeah. That's a good
correct me
point.
now before I go and say this, and then I'm gonna have to make a comment. Let me know. And Charles, I haven't even watched it yet. I'm like, all right, well,
He probably don't care, man.
he doesn't care.
I mean, honestly, like sometimes I don't know that these companies do care, and that's why I don't really. That's another reason why I don't worry about any kind of backlash from a company. I do it more for the consumer, right? Like if I was going to go out and buy a speaker, I would want to know the goods and the bads about it, and I would like to see objective data for that rather than me just tell you what I think or what I heard, because things change from person to person, from environment to environment. So I would like to see the actual concrete data for that. And sometimes I just don't think manufacturers care. I'll say, all right, I did the review. What'd you think? I'm like, I didn't really like it. Okay, well, we'll send you a FedEx label. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Well,
and then, I may get something from them again, or it may be hard to get something from them again, and I'll have to go another route. But I will say that for the most part, I've not had any issues with any manufacturer when I've left them a quote unquote bad review and then followed up like, would you mind loaning me this other thing for review? I mean, Emotiva, that's one where I had a couple good reviews in a row and then a couple bad ones in a row. And then I asked them for something else and they were like, yeah, sure. And I had it in like 2 weeks. So and to me, that's a really good feature or a selling point for that company, is that they're still willing to support, loan me stuff, because they know what I'm going to do. I'm a known quantity. They know that data is going to get out there, and they're not shying away from it. They're embracing that. I don't know if they're taking the stance of what bad press is good press, right? I don't think that they are, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, what was I gonna say about that? Oh, how you measured the base unit? I
Yeah.
think it was laying down. And mine, I had standing up.
Right.
And when I talked to them, I think that's what caused the difference that we saw. Remember, there was a dip there.
Right.
So anyway, the more data, the more we can start figuring out
data.
why something does what it does. I thought it was cool. I had fun doing it. Hopefully, we'll do some more of that sort of thing in the future.
Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed doing that. Maybe next time we might consider doing just a live stream.
Yeah. What is so the Q Acoustics one? Q Acoustics. So I've reviewed the 3020i before.
Yeah.
And I
it was
thought it was
probably
pretty good,
right?
I measured pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
That's
like,
the
okay, these guys
thing.
make solid stuff.
I'd seen when I got them and I listened, I was thinking, man, that top end is bright. So I just pulled up the preamp and started dropping the treble down, and it got to a point where I kind of liked it. And I was like, okay, I can live with that, but I still didn't I didn't really care for it that much. And then I went to look, or then I did my measurements. And then I went to look if anybody else has done it. No, but Amir had measured the 3020i, and I thought, okay, well, the 3020i was more linear. The 5020 is not linear. I don't know why I don't know if abandon's the right word, but I'll just say abandoned. They abandoned that sound signature to go to the 5020 sound signature, and it's just odd to me. And I don't really know why they chose to go that route, unless somebody left a comment saying that a lot of people complained that the 3020 sounded maybe lifeless, I think was the word, something along those lines. And his notion was that maybe Q Acoustics has tailored the sound for the new speakers to have more life or detail, and maybe they just went too far this time.
I would have to look at my old Q Acoustics. Let's see if I can pull it up. But I remember those having a decent amount. I reviewed the 3030i. I remember
like
those
6-inch
having a
woofer,
good amount
or?
of treble also. It's not like they were dull speakers. I remember those. Like the original Unify, what was it? ELAC UB5. Yeah, that had rolled off treble. It's pretty obvious. This, I don't remember doing that. Hold on, let me see something real quick. Let's see.
Yeah, it was just and the weird thing about speakers like that, where it's just all of a, it's like a level change, It's kind of harder to judge those subjectively, because something's off and you don't like it. But it's different than when a speaker has a resonance mode, or maybe just a strong peak at like 4K, and you're able to say, all right, it's somewhere in the high frequency, was very sharp, In this case, it's just the whole highs were off. And you're like, how do I describe that? And then that's when I go and look at the data and I say, I see what's going on now. Makes it a little bit easier.
Here's the 3030i. Yeah. So that doesn't look like what you measured on the new speaker. So I was like, what are they doing? I don't understand what happened, because this looks pretty good to me. Are you seeing it?
Yeah. Is that your near field type measurement, or like out in the room, or
near field moving mic?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay, that's reasonable.
So
I mean, maybe a little bit bright, maybe, depending on the measurement method, like
yeah.
I don't know how much of a difference that makes, when you're near field, moving the mic around. You know what I'm saying? Because when you get out in the far field, you would want a slope, right? If it were flat, it's going to sound bright. But
Yeah, I
with
see
your
what you're saying.
method, I don't really know. I would assume that flat-ish is still okay when you're up close.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, it's close enough to the point where we're talking about less than a foot. So really close. So it was interesting. I made the comment, hey, they're trying to go for that Bowers and Wilkins sound signature.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I just, I was bummed, man. To me, it's a gorgeous looking speaker. Somebody replied and said they didn't like the look of it, but I think it's an awesome looking speaker. But the sound wasn't right for me.
I went to Sound United this weekend.
Oh yeah.
And this kind of relates to what we're talking about with the Bowers and Wilkins, because they have this demo room where they have pretty much all the most expensive stuff that they make. Sound United, Massimo, I don't know, whatever.
Right.
I still say Sound United.
Massimo, isn't that like the Target clothing brand? Isn't it? I'm serious.
Yeah, it is. But I think it's spelled different.
Oh, okay. So
but
it's not.
Says,
okay.
It still says. Hold on. Let me see if I can show you some pictures. It still says on the building. So here, share screen, window. Here. On the window, it still says, or on the building, it still says Sound United. So
yeah.
And then there's Phil Jones. What else? And then this is their demo room where they have all kinds of just, all the best of the best stuff that they make.
Is that 3D?
No, it was in between two frames. I had my kids and my wife and my mom.
Those acoustic tiles at the top? Or is it just like that drop ceiling panel? I can't really tell.
Yeah, I think they did have acoustic panels up there.
Yeah, it kind of looks staggered a little bit.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they have a lot. There was a lot of treatment in that room.
Are you doing a video for that, or were you up there for something else? You up there for Magic Beans?
Yeah, pretty much. I popped in for 45 minutes. So shout out to Phil Jones for staying a little bit later, and to Cam over there, who was keeping the family busy while I was talking to Phil. And so thank you for the hospitality. He took them to their crazy game room. They have this driving simulator and all kinds of games and just stuff to keep you entertained. Anyway, let me see if I can show you the speakers that they had in here. I think that these were it. They were behind something, so I couldn't really tell. Angela says yes. Thank you, Phil and Cam, for the hospitality. Yep, kids had a blast. Let's see here. Share screen. What am I trying to show? I'm trying to show this thing. I think that there were these, because what Phil told me was it's pretty much the 802, the 802D Diamond Series.
Yeah.
And it's just in a different enclosure. So hold on one second here. So I think that those were the ones that they had, and they're expensive. You can imagine.
Yeah.
Anything from Bowers and Wilkins. So they had these all around. Pretty much every speaker except for the height speakers were these speakers. So all the best stuff. Let's see here. What else? But yeah, even their projector. That's okay. So projector folks, they had this. They said it was a $30,000 JVC. So I don't know which one that is. I don't know all the models, but everybody always talks about the black levels. And so I finally experienced that when this thing went to black, the whole room was just black. Like as if you just turned off all the lights, because you could see the walls, the ceiling, everything was blacked out too.
Mhm.
So when it went to a black scene, nothing. You just nothing was on the screen. And whoa, it feels crazy because in my theater, I don't have one of these crazy $30,000 projectors. And so when it fades to black, there's still some light. There's still light reflecting off the screen a little bit, kind of like a grayish look. So yeah, that was interesting. But I was there to show Phil some Magic Bean stuff.
Yeah.
And what I thought was interesting, and yeah. So I don't want to say too much bad stuff because they were very nice to us over there, but I think my family was like, they're used to my system. We watch movies in our system. I have lots of systems.
Right.
And so, and big projector setups too. So I can imagine somebody who would come in and say, man, I'm used to watching on a TV. Now here's a 150 inch. Like, this is crazy. This is a home
Crazy.
theater. But the one in my theater here is 120. So it still feels, feels like a similar experience. But mine is very dialed in, tuned. But my speakers are not what, $10,000 or $17,000 each. Mine are way less expensive, but I think the tuning on mine is better.
Uh-oh.
I have to say,
Uh-oh.
subjective, of course, but I have to say, after we left, I asked him, hey, so what do you think? And my sister was just kind of like, I'm not sure why it was that expensive. That's really expensive.
Yeah.
And I think it's just that they're used to hearing my system. So they're probably comparing it to what they're used to hearing here. And so I think that says something about the tuning.
Could be.
Tuning matters so much.
Yeah. But if you didn't get measurements while you were there, then I can't take your word for it. So
I did get measurements.
yeah,
and
you gotta
that's
have
why
measurements.
I got some measurements, and that's why I said in your Q Acoustics video, oh man, they're going for that Bowers and Wilkins.
Oh yeah.
Because I do have measurements.
Oh, okay.
So I do have measurements of the speakers and how they performed in the room.
Yeah.
Dang, those are bright.
I've
People like
actually
those?
seen like Stereophile, I think, reviewed the 802D. I don't know the different model numbers as they, come out through the years and they've revised them, but it's the big ones like the 210s and 6.5 and the tweeter at the top. And when I saw the measurements, I remember thinking there's a really big directivity error in the mid-range to tweeter. And so I'm assuming then that in the room it was going to sound bright. I actually tried to get the 802s to review, and I was like, this close. And then they had a change in hands. So the person that I was talking to that was going to hook me up with it was no longer part of the company. But maybe I should try again.
The target curve was very weird. So that's the purpose of the Magic Beans app that I'm making, is to find out what the target curves should be. And most target curves are what you expect. Oh, bass rise, and then in the treble, there's a roll off. That's kind of a normal room. It's kind of what you expect from a normal speaker in a normal room. And that's why people like to use the Harman target, because on average, everything kind of goes towards that. But this one is the opposite. Let's see. I don't know if I can find it, but basically, I don't know what would cause this. Maybe you could tell me. But what would cause something needing to have more treble? Would that be
needing to have more? I mean,
to sound normal. Needing to have more treble to sound normal.
What do you know if it's the speaker or if it's the room and the speaker? I
didn't take that many measurements. I was there.
The two things I was thinking was, one, it could just be the speaker itself. Could just be like lower treble.
It wasn't low treble from what I heard, but maybe.
Or if there's too much absorption, then maybe it's absorbing a lot of the higher frequency that normally would help it to sound balanced in the room.
Yeah. So maybe that was it. And also it was behind a little bit of a screen, so maybe that affected things. Anyway.
Yeah, it could be. It's hard to say for sure. For sure.
If Phil's watching, Phil, I want you to try that target curve I sent you.
If Phil's watching, Phil, I know you don't know me, But if you want to send me out a pair of the 802, whatever they are now, for me to review, that'd be cool. I'd be okay
802s,
with
you're
that.
willing to take those on, huh?
Yeah. So I'm actually talking. I was going to send you guys the thing this morning, but I didn't want to barrage you guys with a bunch of messages this morning. So I emailed Clipple and I asked them to give me a quote on the Z axis extension, which basically now will allow me to measure tower speakers standing upright. I used to have to do it with them laying on their side, which
Yeah.
created some issues. But now the problem is that where the Clipple is, I can't extend the R axis, which like goes all the way out this way, far enough to let me go all the way around a tower speaker. But I do have the ceiling height where I can go up higher than I used to be able to go up. And the last time I saw it was about 4,500 euro for that extension. And if it's in that ballpark still, then I think I'm going to go ahead and get it. And then that will allow me to measure bigger, taller speakers like that. Then the only problem is going to be getting them like big, heavy speakers, getting them, because I work out, but I don't work out that much, right? Like I visit the gym enough, but not enough to lift 120-pound speakers by myself.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But that'd be cool.
We have some starred stuff here too.
A lot of star stuff. Tim is doing the job today.
Yeah, he's doing his thing. One quick plug that I want to make though is, let's see here, after show. So I want to do this a little bit early. So for our patrons, I don't usually try to promote it that much. I kind of just say it at the end, join us on our after show. But for our patrons, we always do an after show, and I stay in there pretty long. And I just talk with some of these folks. But there's a lot of benefits to being a patron that we don't even really talk about here. And it's because I figure if people want to support what we're doing, then I want to give back. And I don't want somebody to join just because they're expecting something in return. But I think I should mention some of the stuff. For example, when we have when we came out with the Spatial Toolkit, everybody got a discounted rate, all of our patrons. For my Magic Beans, I'm already doing some testing with my patrons just because I know them. I know them personally. So I feel comfortable saying, hey, let's try this out together. And then you tell me all the issues, and they're helping me out, and they're hopefully getting a good tune in the meantime. But I look to my patrons first, just because I know them. We know each other. We have some rapport already. And so over, past few days, I did Ike's. I've done Reverend Slim's system. So it was, I'll let him chime in and let us know what he thinks, because he seemed pretty happy with the outcome. Let's see here. What are you guys saying over here? Giving away those Magic Bean secrets, Paige.
Oh, no.
Yes. What's up, Fred? Yeah, we give advice too. Try to save people money if they're willing to listen. When they want to spend a ton of money, we're saying, hey, I don't know if patrons get a complimentary tuft of Chana's chest hair. Wow.
That was good timing. Oh, me.
What else? Who are you guys in here? SE Audio, Scott, thank you. Patreon crew is fun. Glad to be part of it. Yep. And Ike says Magic Beans is better than your favorite canned baked beans. That's all you got? All right. I thought you were gonna tell us how it sounded, all that. Because hopefully you got a chance to listen to it. Because on the phone, I know this sounds crazy, but on the phone, you can tell when a tune sounds good. I know this sounds crazy. It sounds stupid. But what I found is when voices aren't correct, you know how your phone has like noise canceling? It's only trying to keep the voice.
Right. Yeah.
And when your system is tuned correctly, it thinks that the other person's singing on the other end, so it just lets it go through. Versus when there's like too much treble, it almost thinks it's noise. It almost thinks it's just background noise.
Yeah.
And you hear it like cutting that out. It's weird, but just yes. What else you guys saying in here? You compared your beans with any Dirac Live bass control system results yet? It's not meant to be a replacement for these auto room corrections. It's supposed to be complementary. The idea is just that you're going to get the correct target curve, and you'll have all the benefits of Dirac's, phase alignment, time alignment, bass. Dirac Live bass control is using multiple subs and EQing them separately, so you have good summation. You're gonna get all that, just the proper target curves. So what else? Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, I'm not looking at the starred.
So, Ike says it's really great. The measurements also did not lie.
There you go.
Yeah, we were learning some crazy stuff about some of the speakers that Ike had behind the screen and how much it was attenuating the top end. Those are important things to consider. And for some reason, the right speaker was lower in volume. I was like, what is that? What makes that happen? Like, what's happening there? Is it an amplifier thing? But anyway, consistently.
What do you think of the new Yamaha 5000 series preamp and amplifier? Is this? I don't have any experience with this. I think this is the one that Gene at Audioholics. I assume it was Gene.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about it. Do you?
Yeah, I don't know anything about it, man. Unfortunately, I cannot help you there.
Reverend Slim, what did you say over here? So we did yours also, but we had, oh man. And this is why I like dealing with the folks I know, because we were trying some ridiculous stuff. So he had a little gaming mic, and we're experimenting with being able to use pretty much any mic to do the calibration.
Yeah.
But there's always a limit, and it's important to find what those limits are. So he's trying to use this wireless gaming thing, and I'm like, let's try it. Let's see if we can get a decent measurement. I don't know. But the problem is that thing seemed to adjust dynamically. It wasn't a fixed, response. It seemed like it was always trying to look for noise and cancel that out. And it didn't work. So that, and also he doesn't have a calibrated mic, but we did find that plugging in what is that? The ACM1, I think it's called ACM1 or ACM1X, the Odyssey mic.
Okay.
Plugging that in directly to his PC actually worked. Like, you just plugged it into the mic input, and we took some measurements. Like, oh, that's pretty close. Not perfect, but close. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
If you don't want to buy a mic and you want to take some decent measurements, it's good up to a certain amount. It's in the treble where it requires a little bit more calibration. But if you're just trying to get, just get an idea, mid-range, your bass, I think it's fine for that. And if you already have it, then you can use it. What else are you guys saying over here? Shall we go over some of the started stuff?
They saying. Let me do this one real fast.
Okay.
This one's for you.
How has Micah come up with a new speaker? No, actually, no. So I don't think so, but who did? Numi did. They came out with a little small speaker
like
that I didn't review
or something.
Yeah, I didn't review it. I was just like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I saw that. Was it just like a scaled down version? I can't remember. It seemed like it was. No, it's a little bit more expensive, right?
That's what I'm like. That's smaller and more expensive.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna have a hard time beating your other thing because the whole idea was super low cost and measuring pretty well. So they gotta beat their own.
They could clean up the existing design a little bit and just put that back out there and do like a Rev 2 of it and get more people interested in it and just go that. I mean, that's the route that I would go. I don't own companies, so I ain't got a clue.
Yeah, they could make it a little bit better. Let's see. What else? Let's see. Reverend Slim does not have a U mic. I don't even know who you are anymore. Exactly. That's what I told him. What are you? If anybody needs a U mic, it's that guy. You need one. You need one in your life.
Reverend. So here's one. Randall Crowley just ordered the new KEF R6 Meta to use as a center channel for my R7's non-Meta. Thoughts? I seem to remember you liked the R2C, but I found it a bit small paired with the R7s. So I don't really have any experience with the R6 or even the R6 Meta since that's a newer version. My thoughts would just be based purely off of just the fact that KEF generally makes really good stuff. And I don't think you could have gone wrong with the route that you went. And I don't know, was this the same fellow who asked last week about getting the R6 or the R6 Meta, or maybe it was something else. Somebody asked about last week, I think, and my answer then was, yeah, get the R6 Meta all day if you can. I'm going to try to review that one. A matter of fact, that's a company who's been really good about sending me stuff out to review because Kef, some of their stuff I reviewed positively and other stuff I haven't, but they've never shied away from sending me anything. The only problem is that sometimes, most manufacturers only have so many that they're allotted or they've allotted to send out for review. And a lot of the times I'll run into asking for something where somebody will say, well, we've got basically this is backed up. Like it's got to go through 2 or 3 more people. And then I'll put out an all hands on deck, or I'll take some Patreon money and go buy it and then sell it locally or something like that. But yeah, so far so good with Kef. They are going to send me the R3 Metas, and I think they haven't been shipped. I actually asked today, but I'm hoping that they'll ship out this week, and maybe I'll have them by the weekend. And then they also mentioned the R6 Meta, or I asked about the R6 Meta, and I think that's going to be coming at some point, but it's currently in the hands of another reviewer.
You know how I know that Kef makes some good stuff?
How do you know?
When Sean Olive from a competing company gives them props on their design and their measurements and just the way they do things. That doesn't happen all the time.
Right.
He's over there at JBL Harman, Samsung.
Yeah.
And I think it was on LinkedIn. I don't remember, but
it was on LinkedIn and Facebook.
And he's just like, hey, I give props to Kef because I'm like, you can't hide it when something's just objectively good. And that's what I like about objective stuff. You could not like them, but you can't deny what it's showing there.
Yeah.
The results. And that's what I aim to do.
Mm-hmm.
Just provide good results. And it was a discussion on that rant video is how do you know that you're good at doing what you're doing? So as a reviewer, are you getting good feedback that you're actually doing a good job of, recommending stuff that you think that people would like? That's what I want to do. I want to recommend stuff that people will love. When they get it, they're like, this is exactly what I was hoping for, and it's exactly what I expected, and it does what it says it was going to do, and the reviews really helped me understand what was happening. And so to me, that's a satisfaction thing. That would be if we were able to do a survey of everybody who watched, let's say they watched your video, they bought the Arendelle speaker.
Mm-hmm.
How many people are satisfied? Oh, there's right on cue. There's Fred. Arendelle Towers, right? Okay, so that's my point is how many people are happy? Let me get this off the screen. How many people are happy with the recommendation that you've given them? That they don't have any buyer's remorse. They didn't have to return anything. That, not because, sometimes there's just a fault with the thing, but it's right. Are they happy with the recommendation that they got from you? Because that to me is what really is important. And I think that anybody who has bought based on my recommendation, I think my scores would be very high. Because I tell it as it is. I said, this is not for you if you're this, if it's for you, if it's for this. And I think maybe some other reviewers, maybe they can get more people to buy more stuff, but I don't know that they would have the same satisfaction because sometimes they might buy something. It's like, oh, that didn't have as much bass in my room because for whatever reason. So yeah, what do you think? Do you think you'd get a good score?
I mean, I think generally the feedback has been pretty good. I've certainly got examples where people said, I bought this, but I just didn't like it for this reason. And usually my reply is, well, at least, now you have some data to go along with what it is. Like, was the treble too much or was this thing or this? And so you can kind of look at the data and then you can compare. And that's usually a good reply. It usually evokes a positive reply. But yeah, I think for the most part, I feel pretty good about what I'm doing and the effect that it's having and hopefully saving some people some money in the long run. Because, man, it's a lot easier to pick out a few designs that you feel like are going to be good rather than trying to go and buy like 10 over the span of a few years and hope you land on something eventually, right?
Mm-hmm. I think the discussion earlier was also, do you feel hyped up enough when there's something that you like? Because sometimes I don't feel like I'm hyped up enough. I'm not showing people
Almost like you're
enough to how much I
spoiled.
like something because I don't want to be so. I don't want to
Oh,
be salesy, and I don't
Yeah.
want somebody to go and buy this thing if it's not specifically for them. But I also sometimes feel like I am downplaying how great something is. So, what is that range? What is that range of this thing? I really don't like it. To I love this thing.
Right.
I don't know that I do a great job of showing these things. So, my example is the Monolith THX compact satellites, and I think the way it comes out for me is that I talk about it often. That I can't let it go. I may not be all
Yeah.
hyped in my video, but I'll mention it again and again and again. And it's because I use them. They're here. They're all around me. And
I think that says a lot.
they sent me a set and I bought 2 more sets.
Yeah.
That I don't buy any speakers. I don't buy speakers. But I saw the deal and I'm like, that's silly that's a silly deal. I'm gonna swoop up on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's how it comes out for me.
Yeah.
I just keep talking about it over and over.
Right.
And I think we do that too. We've always mentioned the Cali Audio LP6V2. You just can't.
Yeah, there's a certain few that are like stakeholders in their category or in their price range or whatever, that I will continually reference back to. And there's definitely a few speakers that I'd love to own, but they're just too expensive. Like the JBL 4367s, love to own those. Kef Blade Metas, love to own those. No way I can afford them. Like a buddy of mine is a dealer, and he said, "Man, I can get you like dealer price on actually both of those." And I told him, I was like, "If you want to see like what your dealer price would be, and you want to pass along to me, let me know. But I'm just warning you now that doesn't mean I'm going to be able to buy it because it's probably still way more expensive. If you're assuming a 50% markup and you're talking $20,000 to $30,000 speakers, dude, you're still at $10,000 to $15,000 with a discount." And I'm just like, oh.
Yeah. You know what I find fascinating about you is I wouldn't guess that you're a 2-channel guy. I would say if I were to guess, I'd say, oh, he's probably into home theater stuff. But you did have a home theater at your old house.
I did.
So it's not that you didn't like it, but it doesn't seem like that's not your main interest. If I were to guess, well, looking based on what you have and the stuff that you are interested in and that you've told me, it seems like you're more interested in maybe the 2-channel stuff or maybe just the actual speaker themselves and the design of the speaker. I don't know.
Yeah. So and I hear you. To me, a speaker is a speaker. There's not a home theater speaker and there's not a stereo speaker unless you're talking about like using EQ. And I've made a video about all of that. So it's not me just kind of coming off the top. A home theater speaker to me is one that can get louder, and it doesn't have to be perfectly flat, doesn't have to have everything perfect about it, but it definitely needs to be able to be EQ'd, and that affords you a lot of wiggle room. Whereas with a stereo, maybe you're not going to use EQ just from the purist perspective or something like that. So you need or want at least a speaker that is typically flat on axis, good sound power, all those things, where you may not be able to use an EQ or maybe just a little bit of a tonality slider. But that's really the only difference. So when I look at a speaker, I just look at a speaker like, okay, is this a good speaker or not? And then I say, okay, well, could I use it for this thing or could I use it for that thing? So I don't categorize myself as one or the other. If it's a good speaker, it's a good speaker, and if it's bad, it's bad, and that's it.
But how about, you said EQ ability.
EQ ability, yeah.
But a lot of the 2-channel stuff, the integrated amps, even expensive ones, they don't give you any ability to EQ.
Yeah.
It's not part of the thing. It's you would have to buy something external like mini DSP SHD or something like that. You have to buy another thing. And to me, that's where it's a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Because if you believe in EQ, how does that Macintosh have EQ? How much is that thing?
So it has like Odyssey and stuff like that. So that's when I talk about EQ. Yeah. That
Macintosh that you have, the 2-channel one does?
Preamp, that Macintosh preamp. Is that what you're talking about?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that one has. And then I'm also talking about AVRs. They're going to have Odyssey. At the very least, they're going to have Odyssey, and then a lot of people will go through the effort of running mini DSP, like you mentioned. I was running 8x8 mini DSP. Was it the DDRC 88A? I think it was the one I was running. So I've always run DSPs. So that's where my head is at. And then when I think of just the pure stereo file type person, they're probably not going to be using EQ. So they need a speaker that doesn't need EQ to fix all of its issues, that is already good out of the box. And that's really, in my opinion, what separates a stereo speaker versus a home theater type speaker. With a home theater speaker, you've got more latitude. If you've got EQ to clean it up, as long as it has good directivity, then you're okay, right? Like, so you, in your case, this is where you come in, I think. And if I'm misstating what you represent, then let me know. But the way I see it from you is that you try to search for the best options for a certain price, or maybe not even a certain price. Let's just say the best budget speakers that can take well to EQ and then be made to sound good. Basically, it's like, you don't have to start off with a perfect speaker. You can just start off with a speaker that's malleable, and then you can shape it, the response, to get what you need out of it, make it flat-ish or whatever, and then you can tailor the sound to the room after that.
Yeah, that's definitely a high priority for me. But I would also like a speaker that doesn't really require so much EQ. For the person who may not use any EQ, I would hesitate to recommend a speaker that has great directivity, very EQable, but horrible, just out of box frequency response. It's like, what if you don't know how to do correction? Then you're stuck with how that speaker actually sounds, and that might not be good. So I look for both. I definitely want it to be EQable, but I also want it to sound good out of the box. And it kind of made me think that it's interesting for the fact that a lot of 2-channel guys they seem to be less interested in measurements than the home theater guys. Just generally speaking. And when you speak generally, you're going to be very wrong a lot of times. But what's interesting though is those are the guys that don't use EQ, and they would benefit the most from having a great measuring speaker.
I know, man.
That's a conundrum. There's a new word. I don't use that one a lot.
Conundrum.
Every time we should try to use a new word in our review, something we don't normally just throw it in.
Yeah, we should get like a dictionary out or something.
Just try to get it in there. Yeah. Anyway, I think that the 2-channel guys would definitely benefit the most, and they seem the least welcoming sometimes. Yeah. Sorry if I offended anybody.
Yeah, they're going to come after you now.
I might get canceled for that, huh?
Yeah.
Watch out.
Hashtag.
I'm uncancelable.
You are uncancelable.
That's right. What else? Okay.
Here you go.
Card. Are the beans ready for the harvest yet? I'm working on it. And I just need it to be stable. What I don't want is people to spend their time, do a bunch of measurements, because if you have 13 speakers, that's 13 measurements. You spend an hour, 2 hours, and if it doesn't give you the result because the app is not doing what it needs to do, that's not good. I don't want to waste anybody's time. I'd rather waste my own time so that you don't have to waste your time. And I think what I might do for the first round of beta testing is I might say, hey, I usually do remote calibration services, and I charge a decent amount, more than I would be willing to pay for myself, but it's not for me. It's for other people who can afford to pay for my services. I've said that before. But what I might do is do a discounted rate and say, I'll do a calibration, but let's use Magic Beans, and you do it. I'll walk you through it. I'll log into your computer remotely. I'll hop on the phone, whatever. We'll spend an hour, 2 hours, whatever. And that helps me out because I get to see where someone might get stuck. They'll say, oh, I don't understand what to do here. Okay, I need to fix it so that it's easier to understand there. Or maybe the program gets stuck somewhere, or we don't get the result that we want. At least I'm able to see what's happening. And so I think that's going to be the first round, is I'm going to work directly with people, and it'll just be a small group at first, work out as many problems as I can, and then expand out and maybe do more, and then do some that are unattended. I don't know what you call it. Unassisted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what's happening. Not yet, but I'm really working on it. I want it out as soon as possible. I can't wait. But it has to be good. I can't put out crap. You know, I'm not trying to get. I don't want people to pay for something because this is gonna be something you pay for, and when you pay, you have expectations. So I want you to pay and say that is totally worth it. Not pay and say, dang, this needs a lot of work. Yeah, not gonna come out of the box like that. Got to be good
for sure.
like the speakers that we expect.
Just like what we hope that speakers will do. Yes.
All right. What else? Man, a lot of Magic Beans questions. I'll knock them out real quick. So here, Juan, can you briefly explain what a Magic Beans session consists of? What do you do, and what does the customer have to do during the session? Just imagine that we have to take a bunch of measurements, certain type of measurement, moving mic measurement, and then if you're using the Magic Beans app, it calculates the target curves for every speaker. And so to me, that's very important to get the right target curves. If we're not using the app, in the cases this weekend where the app was acting up for whatever reasons, and we've since fixed it, but I was like, I'm not going to let Ike spend an hour, 2 hours and not have a good tune at the end of that. That's just not, that's not cool. So I said, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to do it manually the way I've always done it. And so that's what I did. I did it manually and it took a couple hours, but at the end, I think he was happy with it. But it takes longer because I have to calculate everything. Calculating doing math between curves is not an easy task. And to do it properly and not make a mistake, I'm a human. I make all kinds of mistakes. So, yeah. Hopefully the app will just make it more streamlined and easier and faster and all that. So, what else?
What else?
Bodhi says, when you say target curve, are you saying what frequencies you need to hit for the measurements to be flat? I'm not going to say the exact details of what I'm trying to do. I want the app to speak for itself. But eventually, once enough people have it, enough people have used it, I think people will understand how it works. And I will make a video describing or explaining all the reasons why it works. So first, I want people to try it and see that it actually works first, and then say, what did you do? How did you do that? How did you know? And it all makes sense. It's all just science. I don't know. Science and math. It's not, that's all it is. Let's see here. What is this? No, nothing. Odd problem. Ran Odyssey on a 5.0 system, added a butt kicker via sub pre-out. When you add the sub, the Odyssey stops working? Added a butt kicker via sub pre-out. When you add the sub, the Odyssey stops working. Can't run Odyssey with butt, but it makes no sound. I'm trying to figure out whether it stops working the moment you plug in. Because, okay, let me just tell you something that I've seen often is when you run Odyssey, it has a certain speaker configuration. And it has outputs based on what you've configured. If you go and add a new speaker in the layout, Odyssey automatically gets turned off because it doesn't know that speaker. It doesn't have a measurement for it. It doesn't know what to do with it. So you can't change your speaker layout after the fact. So I think that might be what you're talking about. So I don't know. Let me know. Give me a follow-up. And Tim, please start it if you see it.
Don't start
nothing.
Do not.
Parker Tufts, thanks, Joe and Tell. Monolith satellites will be my new height channels. Yes, and I would definitely say just be careful because they are low sensitivity. And you need to be able to, you want to make sure that you're able to play them loud enough for your satisfaction level. So if you have a huge room and you love to play stuff super loud and you, for some reason, want to play in full range, probably not the right speaker. But if you have a small room, you're pretty close to the speakers and you're going to cross them over at 80, 90, 100 hertz, you're going to be fine. So there's that. I wish you could measure those. I know you probably are not interested in them.
Oh
They're
yeah.
the little
Send one
cube
my
ones.
way. I'll measure it for you.
I'm using them all.
You don't need that many. I told Chana that I was going to buy a couple of those sets and put them up in my bedroom to have surround sound.
I just, you know what? I like if you were to review it and say, yeah, I know he said it was good, but there's actually this wrong. I don't know why. I kind of would like
Then I'd
for
have
you
to
to
go and
say
watch
this
your
is the
review.
issue.
I'd have to go and watch your review, and ain't nobody got time for that,
I know.
dude. I've got 10 pair of speakers at my house right now, and they've all come in within the last 2 weeks. 10 pair,
Well,
and I've got the MoFi Source Point 10s are supposed to be here tomorrow.
Ooh.
Nice.
Not
And then those Kefs are
they
supposed
come
to be
with a
here this
smaller
week.
one, no? Did they come up with a smaller one, or
They're big. Yeah, they came out with an 8-inch version somewhat recently.
they should send those over?
Yeah, I asked about those. They said, I don't remember exactly what they said. I can't remember if they said like they already allotted them or if they just didn't have any to send out right now.
Mhm.
But it was one of those like we can revisit in a couple months or something like that. So I'm sure that they're probably slammed with requests for inventory with those since they're the newest thing. I'm actually really excited to hear the Source Point 10s and just get to actually listen to them and then see what the measurements show, of course. But I'm really excited to hear them too.
Yeah, let's see if that Andrew Jones guys knows if he knows what he's talking about. We'll see.
Think he knows
I don't know. Maybe he, we'll have to wait and see. He used to be my favorite speaker designer, just because he came out with affordable stuff, and it was the stuff that I could afford at the time. This stuff might be a little bit out of my range, but doesn't mean he's still not awesome. It's just I can't afford that, or I wouldn't want to afford those speakers. Not for me. Who else? Get this out of the way. Ike says the current version works well. I would have rolled it out and pushed out multiple patch updates like all the AVR companies do. Yeah, no, I can't. It has to be there's a standard. It has to be up to a certain level. So yeah, no, got to get it better.
Yeah, I've got questions for you about that, but they're probably best served for asking you privately because I don't know if they're questions that you want answered.
All right.
Publicly.
I don't. Oh, I mean, you can ask. I'll just say
ask.
yeah.
I'm sure you're paying somebody to build this thing for you. Are you building this app yourself, or are you?
Yeah, I'm not an app developer.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't know where to start to build it, but I could, if I had an idea.
I just got very lucky.
Having an idea and executing the idea, two different things.
I got very lucky because you can find an app developer anywhere. What you can't find is an app developer where you talk about psychoacoustic principles and they know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Imagine having to explain every time. Well, it needs to be this way because of it. Like, I don't want to teach somebody.
Yeah.
But
do what I tell you to do.
The person I have, we can go back and forth. We can talk about psychoacoustic theory, and that really helps. And that's why I'm so excited. I'm very thankful that I found this person.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I'm happy for you.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Let's see. That thing is probably for Aaron because I see Bic here. Any news from Bic regarding the Bic Acoustic PL300? The one could go down to 15. Yeah, I reached out to them. I emailed them. No response. So I'm not gonna go way out of my way to go try to get them. Sent the email.
I can't remember if I've reached out to them or not before. It seems like I may have about when I was trying to do one of my subwoofer shootouts, but I know I've reached out to I don't know how you pronounce it. HSU. Sue. Okay. But I never got a reply. But I've talked to maybe one of you guys were telling me that y'all tried and haven't gotten anything either. So
yeah, I don't know. They should I don't know. Send something. What else are you guys saying? We're at an hour and 21, so I do want to hop into the after show and talk to Ike and see what he thinks. Hopefully he'll be able to stick around.
Boo, Ike.
Yeah, I get. So my excitement now comes from somebody else enjoying their system.
Yeah, that's cool.
I have enough systems. My systems all mine are sounding awesome. So at a certain point, it's like I like it when somebody else like, oh, dude, I just listened. Dang, this sounds crazy. So what else we got? Anything else?
Do you want to talk about that Behringer real fast? Like, does
Okay,
anybody
okay.
care about those cheap Behringers?
Okay, all right.
Let me
Let's
pull
see
those
it.
up first, just
Let
because,
me get this
I
off the
just want people
screen.
to see a quick glimpse. Let me
Okay,
see.
all right.
Behringer B215XL. Bear with me while I go through this trouble here.
Mm-hmm.
And throw it over here. Settings, present slides, share screen.
Do you think there's something to the whole if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all?
No,
To
I
me,
don't.
I remember hearing that as a when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's still somewhere there. Like something tells me, like, yeah, there's something to that.
No, not for what we do. I
Okay.
don't.
Okay.
If it's different, but like when we're trying to educate the community about speaker performance and hey, this is something that's cool and this is something you probably want to avoid. I don't believe in the whole if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. I believe it's perfectly within reason to just not like hammer the negatives home, right? Like say your piece and move on. But I think you should at least do that. So this is the Behringer 215 XL speaker. And I've seen this come up on AVS forum and other places. And matter of fact, somebody recently, in the past couple of days, has asked me if I could review the speaker. So I acquired a set of these speakers and I listened to them and
That
thought,
sounds like you stole them.
well, I thought, oh my God, this is the worst thing I've ever heard. And I mean, I listened to him for like 5 minutes, and that's all I needed to know that I was done. Right. But then I went ahead and I looked at some measurements. So let me see if I can bring that up.
How about this? What if you show the measurements, and I'll try to guess how they sound, and then you tell me. So
Well,
it's
if
kind of
you
like
can guess,
okay.
kudos to you. I'll just
I'm
leave it
gonna
at that.
I'm gonna look at the measurements and see if there's any correlation with what you heard. And if I'm way off, please just say, dude, no,
All right.
you don't know how to read these graphs.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm
let's
sharing
see.
now. There you go.
Whoa. All right. So what is happening? Why is it going up and down so much? It's one thing if it's pretty smooth, but maybe it's lifted treble like we were showing with the Q acoustics, but this is up and down all over the place.
Mhm.
Like constantly changing. One thing I have to say something positive, right? A little
Yes. Go ahead.
positivity sandwich is the directivity above. What is that? 1.5
Mhm.
kilohertz. That's solid. Whatever they did there
Pretty dang
is
good.
legit,
Yeah.
huh?
Pretty dang good.
But these things, see the ups and downs. I wouldn't know the cause of them
Mhm.
because I don't know that there's enough information in this particular graph. But I'm sure you have more information where you
I
can
do
tell
have
me
more
why those
information.
are there.
So when I looked at that, I thought, good Lord, sometimes when you have ups and downs, it's because maybe the enclosure is tuned too high, and
Mhm.
meaning like the Q is too high. So you're going to have a bump in bass. Sometimes that's done on purpose. You can call that a resonance, but I don't call enclosure tuning too high a resonance because I think when you call it a resonance, it almost sounds like it's accidental. But people purposely will tune enclosures to have a high Q bump. And basically, they want it to have a resonant point around there. However, this particular speaker just seems like it's too small for the woofer that's used. So I don't know if this was done on purpose or if they just slapped a 15-inch woofer in there and said, make it fit. Okay. So there's that. Then there's all these little peaks and dips and things like that. And some of them, sometimes you run into it and you think, well, maybe that's just like a baffle step issue or a level matching issue in the crossover between maybe a tweeter and the woofer or something like that. And I'm looking at this thinking, what is going on? These are almost all actual resonances. And I know that because I go and I look at the impedance. And every time you see this, the blue line, I'm sorry,
Wow.
is the phase, but the red line is the actual impedance. So
Wow.
let me get rid of that and make it a little bit easier to see. All of these little wiggles. Right. So this is the port tuning, and this little saddle in here means it's tuned to about 50 hertz, give or take. But all these little wiggles are resonances of some sort. They're either the actual drive unit itself resonating, or an enclosure resonance, or maybe a port resonance if a port was here. And so yeah, you run into things like that. I don't know what's causing that resonance, that resonance, that resonance, that resonance, that resonance, that resonance, that resonance,
Uh,
that resonance, that resonance. I mean, there's like 6 or
easy,
7
bro.
different
Just
resonances in this
take out the
speaker.
whole front and blue tack everything. Foam
Yeah,
and blue tack will fix all that,
that's
huh?
what you got to do. So, but that's why you wind up with all these little
Wow.
things going on, and the directivity. So here's my thing. This is used by the home theater guys, and I'm sure that they were probably thinking, oh, I can just EQ it because it's a cheap speaker with a 15-inch woofer. It's probably going to go low and it's probably going to have high sensitivity.
Mhm.
Well, it kind of has high sensitivity, but when you start EQing some of these problems down, when you bring the sensitivity down, it does not go low because look at that steep roll off, and it's at 100 hertz, does not go low. Now you could say I could EQ the speaker well above like 1.5 kilohertz. You probably can. I think reasonably we could smooth out this response. You're going to lose some of the headroom on the sensitivity, but okay. But down here, you're not going to be able to EQ these. All these little peaks and dips, you cannot. There are resonances that you can fix with EQ with a very narrow Q filter, and you drop it down enough, and you hit the exact frequency with a parametric EQ. You can EQ out some resonances. But when they occur back to back to back like this, your DSP is not going to be able to actually. Okay, you're going to have to manually go in with a really high powered DSP and a queue of like 20 for each of these and bring those down. I don't see the point. I don't get it.
Says you try to run magic beans on that,
Yeah.
and your computer will explode.
It's a really bad design. I haven't even looked to see what it was supposed to be used for. My guess, because it comes with pole jams at the bottom, my guess is that it's just for outdoor event or something like that, just to give you some kind of sound. And hey, that's good enough. And if that's the
That's
case,
a lot of resonances, though.
then cool.
Is it like
it
a
sounds
harmonics
terrible,
thing? Are they
dude.
multiples of Are they happening at certain
I
increments
didn't
where
even-
it's a certain thing that's causing it? And if you fix that one thing, the rest kind of go away.
I
Like,
hear you. I did not even look. So let's go and just see if we can figure that out. So that's about 215. So maybe this one, it's possible that they're harmonics, but I really don't know for sure. Most of these are probably going to be like, this is probably Spider surround issue. It's probably some kind of compliance issue there. But I think a lot of these are also going to be enclosure resonance of some sort. But it sounds terrible. Now I'm curious what the
okay, so what does that end up sounding like? So we look at that. That's
super
correlated
wonky.
with.
We'll go back to it. It's so bad that you can't even describe it. It's just bad. It's just bad,
Did you
man.
say wonky?
Like, I don't know. Vocals never sound right. They're way boomy, and then they're very thin, like right back to back. So as you're talking, you have natural tones, and these natural tones span over a few octaves. So as these people are talking, or if I'm watching a movie or I'm listening to music, as they're talking or singing, their tones sound at different levels between 300 hertz to 400 hertz, or 200 hertz. You're 7 dB down at 200 hertz compared to what is that 250?
Yeah,
that's a third of an octave. You're 7 dB down between those 2 points. That's ridiculous.
yeah.
So it's a crap speaker. It's a crap speaker for home use. If you're using it in your backyard, or you're taking it to an outdoor event and you just want sound, you don't care about fidelity, sure, knock yourself out. $180 per speaker, cool, go for it.
Wow.
But if you're thinking you're going to buy these because somebody on the internet said it was a good buy because they were $180 and they use a 15-inch woofer so they can get low, don't do that. Do not do that.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
So sometimes I root for some of these companies when there's an issue that's easily fixable. Like all you have to do is just do this one thing and then it sorts it out. But it seems like there's too many little things going on here. So
yeah,
that's a no on that one.
That's a no. And the smaller brother of that, the 212 XL, looks even. Well, I don't know if I'd say it's worse, but it's probably on par with as bad as that one is. It's neither one.
Well, Behringer is known for kind of copying designs.
I could live with some of the issues that it has. And you could EQ some things out, but there's just no way, man. It doesn't make any sense to try to buy that and salvage it. And you cannot get rid some of those enclosure resonances. You're not going to get rid of with equalization, and it's just not worth it.
So before we got to do the positivity sandwich, So what's an example of an enclosure of a speaker that you've measured? You don't have to show it on screen, but that has great control of resonances.
Actually, this Klipsch, I even talked about that in my review. I haven't even dropped it. I know it, dude. Huh? I know it. This Klipsch
Who are you?
is a good speaker. It's a good speaker. I was surprised. I know people. I even said something about it in my video. I was like, look, I know that people think I'm a Klipsch hater. I'm not. I don't hate any particular brand. Sometimes I don't like a speaker, and it happens to be that a lot of Klipsch stuff I just don't like. However, this is a good one. I like this.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Well, good job, Klipsch.
Yeah, good job.
So, see, you got to end it on a good note. You know what I mean?
I know, man. It ended on a good note. We started off pretty lame. That was my fault, but we're ending on a good note. So.
Yeah, it's all good. We're just keeping it real. Just talking about what we feel like talking about.
Hold ourselves accountable. And I was honest. I get jealous of other people. There's nothing wrong with me admitting it. That's something I've got to work on. That's a me problem. That's not anybody else problem. That's a me problem.
And hopefully other people, will realize we all have our issues with our work, and nobody's perfect. I think it's important to remember everybody's just trying their best. I think that's what it is. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I'm gonna try to screw up my whole life and be the worst version of me. Everybody's doing their best. So
I would hope not.
We're trying. Anyway, let's leave it at that. Audio only version of the podcast is anchor.fm/daily HiFi. And I'm gonna head to the after show and see what Ike thinks of his system, and maybe talk to some other folks, and maybe we'll do a calibration for somebody. I don't know, but you'd have to be a patron to see what's up. So anyway, Aaron,
good chatting with you, man.
Yeah, always. And I'll see you guys next week. All right, take care.
Bye. Later.